Hello, Lake Orion. Well, how's life treating you this evening? It was very hot yesterday. Today it's cold today. I'm your host, Anthony, and I am between Taorminas.
Dang, struggle.
Yes, indeed, Lake Orion. This is Between Taorminas. I'm your host this week, Anthony Taormina. I'm here with Sammy. Sammy, how you doing?
Hanging in there.
Well, and if anyone wants to wonder where Ian is, you've got some late breaking news.
Yes, I do. Ian's beloved Oakview Shoppa team got swept by Clarkston 9-0. He got swept for the first time since I swept him back in 2012, and he's probably crying and moping as we speak.
Well,
Got outscored 13-5 in the process. That was rough.
Well, in his defense, but Ian's got some other things going on, so he can't be here tonight. So he said he'll be here next week.
Yeah.
This is typical Spoon.
Yes, it is.
We'll preview the city meeting a little bit. I want to talk about something that's very dear to both you and I. What's been going on at Lake Orion, the Lake Orion boys basketball situation. For those who don't know, a couple weeks ago, Lake Orion head coach Tom Reese resigned. He cited family concerns. He cited family matters. Was the biggest reason. Coming from somebody that has experience from having to work and then coach, it's very, very difficult on your family. And I can completely understand that decision of why he left the way he did. It's also to note, too, Lake Orion finished 4-17, which was second to last in the Oakland Activities Association White Division. They are moved down to the Oakland Activities Association Blue. What was your take? And you made a mention of this earlier. This is the fourth coach in 7 years for Lake Orion.
This team's got no stability since Jim Ansel left. None. Even when the year this Lake Orion team went to the 2012 state quarterfinals, I mean, this program's had no stability since Jim Ansel left. And to me, it's sad, that the stability has not been there. You've had some great basketball players play through here during this time frame, but, I just hope that this new coach who comes in here stays in here a long while because this program needs it. This is a team that has not beaten Clarkson since 2008. This is
7.
It's 2-7. This is a team that has not, even when they went the quarterfinal run, you know what I mean? This team has not been able to handle success, you know what I mean? Because they've been they've been in the white, you know what I mean, and then they've been in the blue.
Are you talking about that they haven't moved up to the top division?
Right, to the top division, you know what I mean? But the thing is, when I look at Lake Orion right now, is they just need stability right now. And right now, this is a very tough situation right now. There's a lot of pressure on Lake Orion Athletic Director Bill Reese to get this one right because when you look at the situation, they need stability here.
Well, you look at some of the decisions that were made. You think some of the decisions that? Do you think the result of a new coach was because of the record, or do you think it because if it was truly family? Because as I told you about a minute or two ago, there's a lot of experience with you struggle with you having to work and then you have coach, then you're coaching. Work is like your primary job. Coaching's like your secondary job, and that's very, very tough on a family.
Oh, it is.
So,
it
but
is.
Do you also think the record had something to do with it?
You know what? Yes and no, because when you look at when you look at the no, because, the family comes first, you know what I mean? But when you look at the yes part, I mean, like, this team did win 3 of 4 to close out the year. It was a very difficult year last year.
Right, it was.
They finally started to get it, But, a lot of people look at the record and say, well, this team had a bad year. This team had a really bad year, but this was a young team last year. This year they got some veteran lane. They're going to be experienced, And the key is coaching with this team. If they get it, if they can, I think personally, if you stay in-house or maybe have somebody in district, I think that would be perfect. But if you bring in an outsider, the question is going to be trust with these players because, we don't want a Detroit Pistons situation which Flip Saunders came out of the blue and just completely destroyed the franchise. I think that this team needs like a type of a Larry Brown type of guy, who has been stable, knows how to get the best out of his kids, and can create a winning culture.
When you look at it, when you look at the bigger picture, you've got a situation to where you talk about potentially having the coach come in from in-house, such as like the potential, like what happened with volleyball when they moved up their coaching staff, moved it up, or possibly having somebody in district, such as coaching from the middle school level and moving up and coaching at the high school. Have they ever thought about possibly calling back one of the coaches who used to coach?
Well, it's possible, but here's a program where we have 3 middle schools. You know what I mean? Scripps, Walden, and Oakview.
Yep.
All feeding into one big high school.
Right.
And that will attract somebody. You know what I mean? That will attract somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You have a solid community here.
Right.
You have a solid that would make it a good job. You know what I mean? Lake Orion is one of the best jobs in the league. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're going to mention this in the preview show. You know what I mean?
Right.
When we do the boys basketball preview show.
Right.
I think when you look at the situation with Lake Orion, you know what I mean? It's a good job. It's a really good job. You know what I mean? I mean, just recently, of course, Mike Moransky, he's now the new coach at Blue Bay Hills. I mean, he's a guy that works in district, But Bill Reese has got a very tough decision to make heading in with this decision. And also you got Summer League starting up too.
Oh, yeah.
Which is going to be.
You got the Troy Summer League.
You got Oakland Summer League. You know what I mean? Lake Orion needs to have a coach in by June. That's to make sure you have Summer Leagues stabilized.
Is it wise to also have a coach that can come in, not just build the boys basketball team, or but the boys basketball program as a whole? You talk about the program. You talk about how Lake Orion. Do you need to have a coach that builds the program?
Yes, I think you do. But also yes and no, because it looks like in the JV and the freshman level, I think it's stable enough down there. But you need stability in that varsity level, and especially in the middle school level.
Right.
Whereas the middle schools, I noticed they've had some struggles, you know what I mean, recently, up and down seasons, and that's got to be addressed. I think it's a structure that you got to start with the middle schools. Freshman JV is stabilized, but then the varsity, of course, has got to be stabilized because it's the whole program that's got to be situated and settled in.
Any final thoughts?
Well, keep an eye on OA Now and my podcast, The Dragon's Den, my blog, and Inside the OA, my blog, on the latest information coming. We'll find out more during the week, or either in a couple weeks or two. You know what I mean? We'll find out what the coaching situation is. Stay tuned to my podcast, OA Now, for
which is on ONTV.
Which is on ONTV for complete coverage.
We'll be right back, Lake Orion, to Between Taorminas on ONTV.
Orion Township invites runners and walkers to come out to the 19th Annual Dragon Dash. Kick off the running season with a 5K course that begins and ends at the Orion Center and takes participants on the Pollyant Trail. Awards will be presented to the top finishers in numerous divisions. The Dragon Dash takes place on Sunday, May 17th. Registration begins at 7:30 a.m. and the start of the race is at 9. For more information, you can call 248-391-0304 extension 305 or visit oriontownship.org.
Welcome back to Between Taorminas here on ONTV. Well, we're going to do a little bit of hodgepodge here on BT. For those who don't know hodgepodge, we're going to talk about a variety of sports topics that are going on in the sports world. There's quite a bit. You got Tigers, you got Red Wings, you got Stones. Oh my! So let's just start. Let's first talk about the Wings and then see what Mike Babcock's supposed to. Now, for the front runner for the Wings
Making
job.
a decision by tomorrow morning.
Making a decision by tomorrow morning. What do you think?
I think Babcock's gone. I really do.
Think so?
I think it wouldn't surprise me if Mike Babcock coached the Buffalo Sabres next year because, Buffalo's got an upcoming team. They got some athletes that are going to be very, very talented, and I know the Grand Rapids coach is ready to take over that Detroit job because that's what they've declared on that.
So they're really. Do you think the Wings are kicking Mike Babcock out of Detroit?
It's his decision. You know what I mean? Because would you want to pay a coach $5 million a season, or would you want to pay a coach maybe $3 million a season? It all comes down to economics.
Money.
And I don't know if Mike Ilitch is willing to pay Mike Babcock $5 million. I mean. Do you want to be satisfied to just making the playoffs, or do you want to be satisfied just, or going to the second round and Stanley Cup playoffs, Because I don't know if Detroit is good enough right now to win a Stanley Cup right now, especially with the teams who have gotten better. New York's gotten better. Tampa Bay's gotten better. Then you got the Western Conference, which is really, really tough.
Right. So now let's switch in a little bit of topics. The Detroit Pistons. The draft lottery.
That's tonight.
What's your take about the Stones in the draft lottery?
Steve McGundy's done a miserable job with this team.
Miserable or nice?
They're 2-50 last year.
They had a bad losing streak start the year.
I mean, here's the thing with the Pistons. Do you want to risk them getting an 8th pick in the draft, or do you think you can try to increase your chances of getting the number 1 pick? They have almost under 3% chance to get that pick. I think when you look at the Pistons, what they need is a spread out big guy. You know what I mean? Like a power forward type before, like Rasheed Wallace. There's a lot of those this year in this draft. When you look at the Pistons, Greg Monroe coming back.
Right.
So you really need a stretched out 4. You know what I mean? But you also need a small forward. And if the Pistons can hit right, who knows where this team's going to go in the next year. But they need to get this draft right because it looks like not having last year's pick kind of hurt Stan McGundy, by giving it away to Charlotte. Mm-hmm. I just think when you look at the situation right now, Stan McGundy needs to hit on these 2 draft picks. Needs to hit them on them, I think.
So, but then do you think that Tayshaun Prince coming back to Stones or no?
No, he ain't coming back.
He doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to come back. He doesn't want to be part of another rebuild. And it's what it is in Detroit right now. It's a rebuild. You know what I mean? And you got Reggie Jackson, who's a restricted free agent. You know what I mean?
What about Brandon Jennings?
That's another problem. You know what I mean?
He did great until he got
hurt. You know what I mean? Do you put him? You got him. You could put Reggie Jackson, Brandon Jennings, and you got Kendall Callis.
What about Jordy Meeks?
Jordan Meek's the backup. I think Jordan Meek's the backup. But
KCP.
I can see that happening, but I think the Pistons really need is a stretched out 4. You could move Kendrick Pope to play the 3. I think that could be the best case scenario. That could be the best scenario for the Pistons. Even with Greg Monroe gone, I mean, you're still going to have plenty of cap space, nonetheless.
Right. The cap space is going to be crucial. I also want to talk about the Tigers. Victor Martinez on the DL.
Comes as no surprise because he hasn't done much for this team. He hasn't done much for his team this year. He's gotten hurt. The Tigers have been a hit-and-miss team. They took 2-3 St. Louis. They lost last night to Milwaukee. I know Anibal Sanchez goes tonight. Really, this team is missing Justin Verlander and Bruce Rondon. Rondon will be a huge addition back. Maybe Verlander could be back. I know he's got a bullpen session Friday. But I think when you look at the situation right now, I think the Tigers are in some trouble because you got Kansas City's rolling right now. Chicago's red hot. Minnesota's been playing good ball. So it's gonna be tough for the Tigers. You know what I mean? To rebound.
You're still saying the pressure cooker is high on the Tigers?
Very high right now because
Why?
Everybody's playing much better right now. And even though the Tigers have played most Central Division opponents right now, they haven't played the tougher teams like in the East. Like they still got to go to New York.
They already played New York.
They still got to go to the schedule gets a little bit tougher. They still got to play Boston. Still got to play Tampa. You know what I mean? You still got to play Toronto. It's not
Tampa good this year?
Tampa's not that good this year, but they still got some talent.
So with the Tigers playing, do you think the Tigers will rebound?
No.
No?
Because Brad Osmus was not a good move, I think. He was not a good move for this team. When you look at what Brad Osmus has done for this team, it's been a disaster waiting to happen. I'm surprised that nobody has not said something bad about him yet. I'm very surprised.
You think if Ian was on the show, what do you think Ian would say?
Wearing that cat suit?
Yeah, wearing that awful cat suit.
Oh, he's the reason why the Tigers are losing.
What?
He's the reason why they're losing. Because he's wearing that stupid cat suit. He's the curse of the Tigers. If Ian goes to Comerica Park again, they're going to lose another game.
For those of you who don't understand what we're talking about, in prior episodes, particularly I recommend you watch past Between Taorminas episodes. I would say 76 and I would say 53 as well. 75 and 53.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend, it's either 75, 53, or 55. I don't know either one. But I would definitely recommend you guys to watch those past episodes, and you guys might know what we're talking about. For you history people out there, Ian has a history of wearing a Detroit Tigers Catman outfit suit. So he has a history of wearing that. He's actually had the audacity to come on the show once wearing it, and he got called out for it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Also,
terrible.
he made Lansing news as well,
Terrible.
making a complete fool of himself and cost the Tigers the World Series.
Horrible. I blame him for the cost of the World Series. That was terrible.
And still we're still not able to get over it.
Yep.
All right. We'll be right back with Between Taorminas here on ONTV. Hello, Lake Orion. It's Anthony Taormina, co-host of Between Taorminas. I want to let you know of a new show called History Now. In it, we're going to talk about global, national, and political events that occur in our lifetime. We're going to also have guests and also have co-hosts as well, and also plenty of surprises. Catch us on History Now here on ONTV. Hello, Lake Orion and Oakland County. This is Sammy Taormina here, talking a new show here called OA Now. We're going to talk about sports from football to basketball to volleyball to track and field to soccer, cross country, etc. here on OA Now on ONTV. Welcome back to Between Taorminas here on ONTV. Sam, we got something important coming up. It's something that ONTV is actually going to come out and actually televise and get a chance to watch or get a chance to cover. It's the Lake Orion Middle School City Meet.
It's
a 7th and 8th grade meet that annually takes place between the 3 middle schools. It's actually taking place this Thursday, May the 21st, I believe, at 4:00 p.m. at Oakview. There's a couple of interesting elements. There's a lot of coaches that coach from our class 2006. Also, it's interesting because in shot put, you've got the entire threesome between Taorminas coaching, but just on opposite teams. And also, if you remember too, it was the city meet in 2011 that started the idea of Between Taorminas coming on ONTV. So
yeah, been rolling since.
And it's been rolling since. So going into this meet, as a teams, what's going to be very important for all three? Because at the end of the day, Lake Orion wins out. Coach Sanford, Coach Hudson wins out too. Coach Dave Hudson wins out too. So what's that like?
Well, when you're getting ready for the middle school city meet, of course, it's the next step, and then you got the county meet coming up, the open county meet. When you look at it as a middle school teams, you look at everybody has a chance to participate in this meet, which is really good. Whereas when you had like the mascot meet, sort of like that, whereas you could bring like a limited number per event, I didn't think it was right at all to do that. But I just think it's a good opportunity for everybody to perform at a high level from Lake Orion to get the job. I mean, to just compete and go out there and have some fun. You're basically, there's a lot of pride here at stake here when you look at the community involved. A lot of these coaches, they put the hard work in for their middle school teams. They played teams like Oxford, Pontiac, Clarkson, Sashaba, you know what I mean? And Clarkson. It's not easy. You know what I mean? It is not easy, you know what I mean, to do what these 3 middle schools have done.
Well, and you talked about it. You said that everybody gets to participate. Everybody in Lake Orion gets to participate. That's one of the big differences that separate this meet from the mascot or also known as the league meet.
It's not the league meet.
Well, it used to be back in the day.
It used to be, but not really anymore. If you want a league meet, it's got to involve everybody. It does not need to have limitations. That's what I think.
Well, look at you. Well, you kind of have to have the 3 per event thing and all that.
Probably.
But I would rather have a meet like this one that does include everyone.
I would love the city meet.
And I think,
meet.
and I think Ian agrees too, because because it's a good opportunity for all 3 Lake Orion middle school teams to go out and perform. And actually for a lot of the kids, because not every kid participates in the county meet.
For some of the kids, it's their last meet of the regular season.
And it's a good chance for them to go out on a high note. Mm-hmm. And also, if you're an 8th grader, you get to prepare for the next level, which is of high school. Hopefully, a lot of the kids come out for track. They could go out for other sports like lacrosse or baseball, but hopefully it'd be for track. And then, for 7th graders, it's a good experience. And then for next year, when they become 8th graders, they have that experience of coming out and participating.
The key is experience, because when you look at being in a county meet, you know what I mean, and winning a county meet, in the shot, you know what I mean. Yeah. But there's a lot of work that has to be done. There's a lot of work. You gotta give all 3 coaches a lot of credit for what they've done. For their
all
team.
3 staffs.
All 3 staffs, what they've done. Mm-hmm. You look at a team like it's not basically when they all come together, it forms like one big powerhouse track team like Orion has been every year.
Yep.
And then you look at when you have teams like a Clarkson, Sashba who divided their kids up into 7th and 8th graders, it's basically like Lake Orion is like a subdivision. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a Lake Orion, like Scripps is one subdivision, Walden's one subdivision, Oakey is one subdivision.
Right.
You know, it's kind of an interesting dynamic when it comes to that.
Right. Also, too, you made a good reference to it. There's, when all three middle schools combined become one very strong Lake Orion team, this helps the high school.
It does.
This helps the high school because in terms of depth, it helps the high school in terms of. But what's your take about, obviously you get to see, you go against Clarkston, you see Clarkston's 8th grade team as a whole. Oxford, quite a bit of them are 8th graders. Pontiac, obviously with the budget situation that they have, they're not bringing out as many kids. I mean, in many ways, does this help that having this type of city meet, this helps set the future for Lake Orion?
I think it does, because when you look at the situation now, I don't understand why Clarkson Clarkson School District went into that situation where you had the junior high school with the 8th graders and the Satchbaum Middle with the 7th graders. I just don't understand it at all. I kind of wish it would have had 2 middle schools there. But anyway, when you look at it makes sense, because you have your good kids, you have your kids you're going to work hard and work on, in projects on one side. Same thing on the other two. You know what I mean? It's basically, you just got to have the right system in place to be successful in this type of meet.
A lot of bragging rights on the line in this meet.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of bragging rights. I mean, I know if Ian was here, Ian would bring up, he'd brag about his team. I think you'd brag about your team, and not brag about my team. So
I agree. I agree.
But it's always a very exciting time. Also, the weather's going to be beautiful out. And ONTV is going to be covering it.
Yep. Especially on ONTV News with Katie Shimmer-Powell, I believe. Shimmer-Terrell. Thank you. Covering it with the news, so it'll be an interesting meet. Thank you. Thank you, person up in the sky.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, ONTV, I think ONTV covering it, it's going to brings another dimension into it. I mean, the fact that they're covering it, I think it's very exciting for the kids. It's very exciting for, for Lake Orioners to bring track out there, and I think it's very exciting that, they'll get to see the kids hopefully do well. And I think then this event deserves a lot of recognition. Now, the one thing obviously we don't agree on the one thing that we don't agree with Ian on is, should this meet really be at the high school and not at Oakview?
It should be at the high school because that is where the kids are going to be next year. It should be at the high school, not at Oakview.
I agree because you look at the kids. It should be where the kids are going to be participating at the respective school for next year.
Correct. I agree.
The high school. So
I agree.
Maybe it's something for Bill Reese, the Lake Orion Athletic Director, to consider.
I would consider it seriously for him to
Even though it seems like every meet we've had has always been at Oakview.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem strange that every meet seems to be at Oakview?
If you want to have a meet moved to, you got to alternate between like a Walden, Scripps, and Oakview. Right? If you don't want to have
that's one thing you want to consider changing.
That's one thing you got to consider changing.
I would like to consider that because I think it shouldn't always be at Oakview. Nothing against Oakview, but I think that it shouldn't, But it is what it is. I mean, it's less work, so.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You have any final thoughts?
Well, when you look at the meet, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be interesting, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we're going to head off for the evening. Lake Orion, other areas of Michigan.
Enjoy
Memorial Day. We're going to go up north, spend some nice, wonderful time at our summer home. Have a great night. See you Tuesday, Lake Orion.